Mr Deputy Speaker, not for the first time, I find myself in complete agreement with the honourable member for Medway. I believe that the decision to join with the United States in an illegal war against Iraq was based upon a flawed premise and has done catastrophic damage to British interests. That may well disqualify me from membership of a committee of investigation, but it most certainly doesn't prevent me from passing judgment on the form of that committee and its composition. The government has been partially saved from itself by Sir John Chilcot, by General Sir Mike Jackson, and the many people who have publicly said that they accepted and indeed wished that proceedings in which they might feature should be in public. Well, this evening, Parliament can save the government further by passing the motion which stands in the name of the Leader of the Opposition, because the responsibility for the establishment of this inquiry should rest with this House, and anything else is a dereliction of our duty. There are no precise terms of reference. That is somehow brushed aside. How will we test the success of this committee unless we test their conclusions against terms of reference? There are no members with military experience. Who understands the pressures of command when you're sending 40,000 young men and women into the Middle East with the prospect, at least, of casualties, at the same time as you're following the established principle that you take your instructions from your political masters? No one other than someone who has had to discharge these responsibilities. And who understands the political responsibility other than someone who's been associated with a decision to deploy British forces in circumstances where they may lose their lives or be injured? Assessors are no substitute, and they're no substitute for this reason. Assessors advise, they do not decide. They do not take upon themselves the responsibility for the decisions which are made. Parliament tonight should assert itself. Parliament should assert itself to own this process, and Parliament should set the conditions for this inquiry. And these should include, in order to put aside any questions of uncertainty, a specific power to compel witnesses to attend and to put them on oath. Now, there is now no dispute that the most sensitive material touching on intelligence cannot be heard in public. But we should have a presumption that everything will be heard in public unless the national interest demands it. And government embarrassment and national interest are not synonyms for each other. They are wholly separate and distinct. I want, if I may, to set out some questions which I hope this inquiry will address. What was the Prime Minister's motive in establishing a policy of standing steadfastly by the Bush administration? Did the Cabinet agree with that policy? Did the Cabinet ever discuss that policy? Is it the case that by July 2002, at a meeting in Downing Street, the minutes of which have been leaked, as it happens, to the Daily Telegraph, that Mr. Blair was committed to military action along with the United States? Is it the case that by that meeting, Mr. Blair was committed to regime change? When did the Cabinet first discuss military action? When did the Cabinet first discuss regime change? And on how many occasions thereafter did it discuss either or both of these implications of government policy? Why was it that the Cabinet did not see the Attorney General's full opinion of the 7th of March of 2003 before military action commenced? Who took the decision that the Cabinet should see only the one-page answer to a question no doubt placed by arrangement in the other place? Why did the Chief of Defence Staff insist on specific legal advice that what he was being asked to do was legal? Was the Cabinet advised that the intelligence assessment was that war against Iraq would increase the likelihood of terrorist attacks in the United Kingdom? And if not, why not? Was the Cabinet informed that the 45-minute claim related only to battlefield nuclear weapons? What do these questions have in common? None of them raises an issue of intelligence sensitivity. They can all be asked, and they can all be answered in public, and they should be so.
Very good.